Some people seem to attract success effortlessly, but it's never luck, it's habit. The small, consistent behaviors they repeat each day shape their confidence, sharpen their discipline, and create unstoppable momentum. These routines are not random, they're engineered. Each action builds identity, each choice rewires the mind. The secret isn't talent, it's alignment. Align your habits with the life you want, and success begins to chase you. In a few moments, I will teach you the daily winning habits that build confidence, sharpen discipline, and attract lasting success. Decide who you are. Every day, each morning, you rise to a quiet battlefield, not one of swords, but of identity. Before the world greets you, your mind asks one silent question: who am I today? And if you don't answer, it will choose for you. It will pull from yesterday's fears, yesterday's failures, and it will dress you in the same limitations you swore to outgrow. But what if each morning you chose deliberately? What if you stood at your mirror and declared, "This is who I am becoming," not a wish, not a whisper, a decision? Because success doesn't begin with results, it begins with identity. And identity is not found, it's forged. A farmer does not wait to feel like a farmer before planting. He plants, and by the harvest, he is one. So what does this mean for you? It means you wake up and write one sentence, one thought, one truth that captures the person you're determined to be. I am focused. I am strong. I do what needs to be done. Say it, write it, and act like it's already true. Now picture this: two men rise with the sun. One lets the world define his worth. The other defines himself before the world gets a chance. Who do you think will conquer the day? So ask yourself, have you claimed your identity, or are you renting one from the past? When the world pushes against you, will you remember who you said you were? You must decide, and decide loudly. The world does not wait for a quiet man to find himself. It rewards the man who declares himself and then proves it by action. Do the hard thing first. You wake up and your mind begins its dance. It whispers comfort. It suggests you start small, ease in, wait. But success doesn't visit the man who delays. It visits the one who tackles the dragon while it's still asleep. The hardest task on your list, that's your dragon. And you must face it first. Why? Because if you don't, it grows. It watches you dodge it and feeds off your fear. Soon the small task becomes a mountain, and you, once bold, shrink under its shadow. But if you strike early, you rise above every obstacle before it begins. This isn't about courage, it's about timing. The man who acts early commands his day. He tells the world, I lead. I don't follow delay. But how do you do it? You prepare your attack the night before. You write down your battle. You know its shape, its name, its steps. And when the morning comes, you move before your feelings catch up. Action first, emotion later. Now imagine this. A worker stares at his biggest task, waiting for motivation. Another rolls up his sleeves and begins, knowing the fire will come once he moves. Which man earns victory? So ask yourself, are you a commander of your day or a captive of procrastination? Have you let hesitation lead your life? If you want to build momentum, start by building courage at sunrise. The strongest man is not the one who feels no fear, but the one who walks through it first. Speak to yourself like a king. Every man walks with a voice in his head. And the tragedy? Most men let that voice speak like a beggar. I'm not ready. I don't belong. I can't. But you were never born to obey that voice. You were born to rule over it. The mind believes what it hears most. And if you've let fear sit on the throne of your thoughts, it will rule your actions. But what if, instead, you crowned your voice with authority? You don't have to feel confident to speak like a king. You speak it, and the confidence begins to rise. Because words are not reflections of reality. They are builders of it. So speak aloud. Say, I deserve excellence. Say, I walk with purpose. Say, I don't shrink when challenged. And say it until your mind stops arguing. How do you start? Find one statement, one line of power. Say it in the morning, out loud, with your chest lifted. Then say it again while walking, while working, until your world aligns with it. Picture this. One man mutters doubt and wonders why the world overlooks him. Another speaks belief into his bones until the world takes notice. Same ability, different voice, different outcome. So ask yourself, have you been talking to yourself like a king or like a servant waiting for permission? If you want to master your destiny, you must first master your language. And it starts not with others, but with what you whisper to yourself in the quiet hours. Speak boldly, speak often, speak like your future depends on it, because it does. Move with certainty, even when you doubt. There will never be a perfect moment. You already know that. Yet some part of you, some quiet whisper in your mind keeps waiting for it, waiting for the day when the fear disappears, the plan is flawless, the heart is steady, and the green light turns on. But that day never comes, because readiness is not a condition, it's a choice. The man who waits to feel ready will always be late to his own life. The world doesn't pause for your confidence, it moves. And only those willing to move with trembling hands, uncertain breath, and an unpolished plan arrive. Clarity, you think, is a prerequisite, but clarity is not the beginning. It is the reward. You act first. You stumble, speak poorly, step awkwardly, but each motion sharpens your direction. You do not become wise before the journey. You become wise because you walked it. Every master was once an amateur. Every confident voice once cracked in fear. The difference between the one who grows and the one who fades isn't talent. It's motion. It's the courage to say, I don't know the whole path, but I will still begin. Let your knees shake. Let your voice tremble. You are not disqualified by your fear. You are defined by your decision to rise anyway. You don't need to move mountains today. Just take one action. Not the easy one that flatters your image, but the one you've been avoiding. The first step into the unknown. Take it. Let it be messy. Let it be imperfect, but let it be real. Picture this. Two men. One sits by the window, waiting for a sign, for certainty, for the stars to whisper, go. The other man, less sure, more afraid, begins to walk. He stumbles. He doubts. But by sunset, he is further along, weathered, tested, and wiser, while the first man still waits. Same day, same dream, different lives. So ask yourself, are you keeping your future on hold until the fear disappears, or will you walk with your fear beside you and keep moving anyway? The man who moves without knowing, without certainty, without perfection, becomes the man who knows. Because action creates clarity. It builds momentum. It forces growth. Success was never about being sure. It was about being willing to strike first, even if your hand shakes, being willing to walk forward, even if the map is missing. The bold are not fearless. They are simply tired of standing still. You don't need everything figured out to begin. You need to begin so you can figure it out. The road reveals itself to those who dare walk it. So start and trust this. The moment you act, the man you are becomes the man who wins. Protect your environment like a kingdom. You are not just a man. You are a fortress. Stone by stone, decision by decision, you are building a kingdom. But even the strongest walls can fall, not from brute force, but from slow, silent decay, from what you allow inside, thoughts, habits, people. These are not harmless visitors. They are either allies to your vision or enemies of your soul. And every day you open the gates. Most men don't collapse from lack of strength. They collapse because they let rot seep in. They laugh at foolish jokes. They tolerate laziness in the name of rest. They let men who despise discipline speak into their lives. And inch by inch, they lose their edge. Their standards sink, their ambition softens, and before long they are not who they once were, not because they chose failure, but because they allowed weakness. But you, if you are to rise, must stand guard. Your environment is more than where you sleep. It's what you see, what you hear, what you accept. A cluttered room is not just a mess. It's a signal to your brain. Chaos is allowed here. A noisy friend who laughs at self-improvement is not just harmless company. He is a voice chipping away at your growth. Your atmosphere whispers into your mind every moment, so make sure it speaks power. Begin with the space around you. Clean it, not for appearance, but for alignment. Let every object in your room serve a purpose or a piece. Remove what mocks your mission. Make your home a temple to your future. Then, protect your time, guard it like a treasure chest. Refuse to give hours to gossip or distraction. Give your minutes to meaning. Choose books over noise. Silence over shallow company, direction over diversion. Picture this clearly. One man wakes in a room of order. His tools are ready. His space breathes clarity. He is reminded, even in silence, that he is a builder. Another man wakes to clutter, confusion, and comfort. He scratches his head and wonders why the fire inside him grows cold. But look around, and the answer is clear. You are always becoming what you surround yourself with. If your environment praises mediocrity, you will struggle to rise. If it echoes strength, you will walk in power. So ask yourself now, what enters your gates? Who speaks into your life? What are you tolerating that should have been cast out long ago? You are not just a man, you are a gatekeeper. You are a living kingdom. Guard your walls, strengthen your halls, and never forget what you let in will either raise you or ruin you. Make no excuse. Ever. Excuses feel like protection. Soft, reasonable, comforting lies that wrap around your ego when things don't go as planned. It wasn't the right time. I didn't have the right tools. No one supported me. These words slip easily from the tongue, and for a fleeting moment they soothe the sting of failure. But excuses are not shields. They do not protect, they imprison. They bind you, not to what could be, but to what was. They chain your future to your past and tell you, this is as far as you go. You may deceive others with your reasons. You may even collect sympathy, nods of understanding, and comforting reassurances. But deep within you lives a judge, a silent, incorruptible witness that remembers the truth. It knows when you had a choice and chose safety. It knows when you flinched instead of fought, and no excuse ever silences that voice. You think you need better conditions, more time, more support, but history shows otherwise. Great men were not born in comfort. They were forged in storms. They were betrayed, misunderstood, ridiculed, and doubted, but they acted anyway. While others waited for the weather to clear, they built in the rain. While others drafted excuses, they delivered results. Their secret? Not talent, not timing, resolve. A decision made so firmly, so finally, that no condition could override it. To kill excuses, you must stand naked before your life and say, every inch of this is mine. The good, the bad, the unfinished, the broken. You take ownership, not to punish yourself, but to empower yourself. Because once you accept that your actions, not your circumstances, shape your destiny, you become free. Free to learn, free to change, free to grow. Imagine two craftsmen. One holds up his work and blames the crooked edge on a dull blade. If only I had sharper tools, he says. The other sees the same flaw, but walks to the whetstone and sharpens the edge. He works again. He improves. He accepts responsibility, not to feel guilt, but to regain control. And over time, the second man earns trust, opportunity, mastery. The first man, still blaming the blade. So ask yourself now, with courage, have you been hiding behind reasons or stepping forward despite them? Have you told yourself a story so many times that you've mistaken it for truth? Are you waiting for sympathy or ready to embrace strength? No man carves his name into history with apologies. He carves it with action, with responsibility, with fierce accountability that says, I'll fix it, I'll face it, I'll rise from it. The world does not remember those who explain their failures. It remembers those who answered them. So say less, speak fewer justifications, shrink your vocabulary of blame, and expand your capacity for effort. When the next test comes, and it will, don't give it a story, give it strength. Burn your excuses, set them ablaze, watch them fall to ash, because they have never served you, they have only stalled you. And you, my friend, were not built to stall, you were built to build, to become, to conquer. And you do that not when everything is right, but when you decide you are done waiting to be ready. That moment is now. Learn. While others sleep, while others rest, you rise. Not out of pride, not for applause, not to outpace the man next to you, but to outgrow the man you were yesterday. You understand something they don't. The world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards mastery. And mastery is born in the unseen hours when most have surrendered to sleep, to silence without meaning. You rise because you know the best way to rise above is to learn what others ignore. Knowledge is power, but only when pursued with urgency. It isn't enough to say, you'll learn someday. You must steal time from ease and give it to effort. The morning becomes your university. The night becomes your library. The conversations you overhear, the failures you reflect on, the books you open. This is your education. And if your eyes are truly open, the world itself will become your greatest teacher. Most men complain they don't have time to learn. But time doesn't arrive at your doorstep with a welcome note. It is carved, chiseled from the bones of comfort, distraction, and delay. You cut away minutes from the unnecessary, the indulgent, the idle. And in that space, you build yourself. You pick up a book while others pick up excuses. You apply while others forget. That is how you rise. The method is simple. Choose a subject that strengthens your future. Whether it's finance, speech, strategy, leadership, or discipline, find something that matters and make it your craft. Don't consume information like a man stuffing himself with empty galleries. Consume with purpose. Read slowly. Think deeply. Ask questions. Test what you learn. Act on it. Because knowledge without motion is just another distraction dressed in intelligence. Now picture two men. One finishes his day, slumps into a couch, and lets his mind float on idle chatter and shallow noise. He wakes the next morning sluggish, unsure, already behind. The other man finishes his day with intention. He opens a book, not to pass time, but to claim it. He takes notes. He reflects. He prepares. He rises the next morning with clarity and direction. Over time, who do you think will own the future? The one entertained or the one educated? So ask yourself, have you made learning your weapon or your excuse? Do you say, I don't have time, or do you make time because you know your future depends on it? Genius is not born. Genius is built, and it's built in hours no one sees, in moments of silence that others fill with noise, in choices to learn instead of delay. You don't need more talent. You don't need more motivation. You need more wisdom, and wisdom is not loud. It is not rushed. It doesn't come wrapped in dopamine. It lives in silence, in study, in solitude, and it only reveals itself to the man who is willing to seek. Every lesson you absorb today, every page, every reflection, every practice becomes a foundation stone for the empire you're building. You are not just learning facts, you are learning weapons. And one day, when the world looks up and calls you brilliant, you will know the truth. You were not born special. You simply studied while they slept. Never complain. Turn it into command. When a man complains, he exposes something deeper than frustration. He exposes his belief that he is powerless. In every sigh, every grumble, every whispered lament about how unfair life is, he sends a message to the world. I have surrendered. A complaint is not a cry for help. It is a confession of weakness. And while the world may nod with sympathy, make no mistake, it will not wait for him. It will move forward without him, because life does not respond to pity. It responds to power. You were not made to be pitied. You were not born to stand in line behind circumstances, begging them to change. You were made to command, to shape, to direct your life through storm and stillness alike. And that command begins with your voice, not just the words you say to others, but the words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. Every time you complain, you waste breath. You waste energy that could have been invested into action. You give away your position, you plant a flag in the land of defeat, and wonder why victory avoids you. It's too hard. They don't get me. Life is unfair. Yes, maybe it is, but fairness is not your path. Power is, and no man has ever built a legacy by moaning about the mud beneath his boots. So what do you do when the weight is heavy, when the people around you don't understand, when life throws stones and waits to see what you'll do? You turn your complaints into commands. You turn every "I hate this" into "here's how I will face it." You shift your energy from reaction to creation. You say, this is where I stand. This is what I will do next. Watch me move. It's not about pretending that problems, it's about refusing to give them your voice, because your voice is not a tool for whining. It is a weapon for shaping reality. The man who learns to speak with direction instead of despair changes the trajectory of his life. Even if the storm rages on, even if the pressure builds, even if no one claps or cares, because eventually the world bends not to the complainer, but to the commander. Picture it. Two men caught in the same storm. Rain pours, wind howls. One raises his fists to the sky, shouting blame, curses, please. The other, he works. He gathers wood, builds shelter, makes fire. He doesn't wait for the sky to apologize. He adapts. He endures. And soon, he thrives. Same storm, same hardship, different outcome. So ask yourself, have your words been weapons or wounds? Have you been building with your mouth or bleeding with it? If you've been speaking defeat, do not be surprised when defeat surrounds you. If you've been rehearsing your limitations, life will deliver them to your door. But if you begin to speak strength, even while trembling, something shifts, your posture changes, your energy sharpens, the world takes note. Speak as if your future is listening, because it is. Every word is a seed. Some men plant weeds and wonder why their garden won't grow. Others speak vision, discipline, determination, and their lives slowly transform into what they've declared. You are the architect of your outcome. You